This is a story about a very old cello. A young boy named Richard and his Uncle Sal. Uncle Sal lived far away, but every summer he would travel east to see his family. For young Richard, his uncle's visits were exciting and always began the same way. Richard's parents would drive to his grandparents' home where Uncle Sal stayed. And as soon as Richard stepped out of the car, he would stand frozen in place and listen. Out of the open windows of the house floated the sounds of Uncle Sal's cello. Richard entered the house, greeted his grandparents silently, and tiptoed to the room where his uncle was practicing. As he got closer and closer, each note grew louder and louder until it seemed like an entire orchestra was playing. When the music stopped, Uncle Sal opened his eyes and looked up. A warm smile spread across his face, and with a twinkle in his eyes, he said, "Why, hello, young Richard." They would embrace and kiss each other on both cheeks, very happy to see each other. This yearly visit was always a thrill for Richard, and he never forgot the sound of Uncle Sal's cello. What was it like to be a musician, Richard wondered. What was it like to play in an orchestra and be surrounded by the beautiful sounds of all these instruments? Time went by. Uncle Sal found a new job and had to move far, far away. He visited less and less, and the time finally came when his visits stopped altogether. Meanwhile, Richard grew from a young boy into a young man and had a family of his own. Sadly, Richard and his uncle lost contact. one day Richard read in the newspaper that the famous Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra was going to give a concert nearby. Richard knew that his uncle had become a member of that orchestra, so he decided he was going to surprise him with a visit. But would his uncle recognize him? After all, they hadn't seen each other in years, and Richard was a boy the last time his uncle saw him, and now he was a grown man. He went to the hotel where the orchestra was staying. As he walked down the hallway towards his uncle's room, suddenly he stopped. He heard something familiar. No, it couldn't possibly be, could it? With each step, the sound of the cello grew louder. When he found the correct room number, Richard stood frozen in place. Suddenly, he felt like that child again, arriving at his grandparents' home. The sound stopped. Richard took a deep breath and knocked. In a moment, the door opened. There, before him, stood his Uncle Sal, holding his cello. "Hello, young man. I'm afraid I don't recognize you. Are you a former student of mine?" Richard smiled. "Look closer, Uncle Sal." His uncle gasped and stepped back in shock as he exclaimed, "Richard!" As they stared at each other's tears of joy filled their eyes, as Uncle Sal said, "We're together again." Each other on both cheeks, just like they used to.